Now we've fixed our rubber mounts onto the bearings, we've got to try and get them down the carbon shaft there now, which is probably going to be a bit of a fiddle. I'm going to put some silicone non-oily spray down first and see how I go with that. Well, so far so good. Seems to be slipping down pretty well. Lots of silicone grease on here, and yeah, a little bit of plunging down and coming back. Spread the goodness down. No worries at all. Now this is going to actually get recessed down in the tube. It's not going to come out each end. So I think I've just put it about level with the end of the tail rotor end, and then we'll mount it up to the gearbox and see where the front of the torque tube lies. Okay, there's our drive coupling. I'm going to spray just a little bit of PTFE grease down in there. Can't do any harm. And mount up the tail drive. Once we've got our carbon tube down into the box, we can find the hole in the carbon, line it up down there, and put our M4 peg screw down in there. And once we've got our locating screw in, we can then turn it round and tighten up the clamp on the boom, make it nice and tight. The boom's just a ½ mm shy at the end of the tail case there, and there's our clamp bolt done up, and that's good and solid. Now that's fixed in orientation. We basically need to find the position now in the tail boom case at the back of the main frames to have the vertical fin square. Now the tail boom's supposed to come up to completely fill this cutout. You can see it just advancing it in. The light's not too good, and it's about it's nearly at the end. There's a little bit of just around. Whoops. Okay, there's a little bit of parallax there. It's about 1 mm short. To get it up any further, we'd have to actually pull the tail gearbox out a little bit and redo that set screw. So I'm actually going to be happy with that. It's not pushed fully home to bind against the coupling, but I think that'll probably do. So now we get the heli up the right way. Need to orientate the vertical fin so that it's vertical, and then Kasama suggests get a 2.5 mm drill and make a hole down in the carbon tube. 2.5 so it won't graunch the threads of this M3 hole, which is supposed to be for locking the boom. The alternative would be good to get an orange stick with a bit of white enamel on there and just do a spot on there to find the correct position of the set screw, and I might actually do that. Finalising the boom position, we can take bag 24, which has got the boom support mounts in it, and some nice proprietary Srimok style screws. That presumably is the lock nut for the boom to go down through the top of the boom clamp. And just worthwhile mentioning here, this has got this very unusual linear bearing, and I don't know if you can just see in there are 4 rows of ball bearings just to allow the push rod to move up and down. I've never seen one of those before. Just trying to THK L, looks like LM4, presumably THK, yes, EM4. Anyway, it's a linear bearing held in place with a circlip on each end. Very interesting. Plastic film supplied in the long boom kit in case we have some problems gripping, but I've just finger pinched up this grip here, and it's gripping onto the tail boom quite nicely, so I don't think we're going to need any padding plastic film underneath this clamp. We also might need it under the boom clamp at the front, but we'll see. Right, also out of bag 24 we've got our Srimok nuts. There's 3 12mm ones, there's one 20mm one. This 20mm one goes in on the side where the boom clamp is to accommodate the extra length needed to clamp the boom. The the tail boom supports are fairly straightforward. Carbon fibre, plastic clevises, locking bolt in there, M2 locking bolt in there, and these are an interference fit in these. They don't quite slide in, but doubtless they will do when they're tightened up. Now I'm going to mount up all the mounts now, so I can mount the position of the screw in the tail boom support where it is on the boom and pre-drill that. And the collars on these M4 bolts do actually locate in and screw down very easily, and then you haven't really got much slop there at all. And that's looking along the underside of the boom. As you can see that the linear bearing is dead in the centre, and there's our right angled tail just moving off to the side. Now our boom's all mounted up with the supports, you can then go in and with some white enamel I'm just going to mark the position of the hole there for the Srimok bolt. There's a Srimok M3 by 4mm screw bolt to put in there, and I'm likewise going to mount with some enamel down the hole for the M3 bolt that's going to go in and lock the boom down there. Once we've marked those off, we'll take the boom out, drill them, and then we'll be able to put the locking bolts down. A dab of red paint we've put down there, and a dab of red paint we put down in the boom case locking hole. Here's our mark on the carbon tube for the locating position of the boom support clamp. And likewise down at the other end, there's our mark there for our locking nut. So we'll drill those out now, lock them up with the M3 bolt and the M3 Srimok bolt, and then lock tight in our supports, our boom support mounting bolt. Okay, to finish off the rudder linkage now, we've got a carbon rod with 2 ball links on the end. We pre-screw these down to make 205mm between ball centres. We have the end of the main push rod, which goes through the linear bearing, and then there's a ball link that just directly screws into a threaded screw down there, Loctited of course. Before that we put that on, we'll put the rubber boots on, so that that will keep the grease in that we'll squirt in. And there's also a second boom guide clamp. This is the wraparound variety. Mikado do similar ones to these, and that's secured by an M2 bolt and screw. Now there was some Teflon tubing as well to go in between that, but there was no way I could fit that over either end of the boom. So it's a nice touch, but it ain't going to happen on this one. So we'll load the linear bearing up with grease, put the boot on, thread the push rod through, put the ball link on, and then pop the boot on the other end and connect up to the tail servo. And there's that funny centre link working fine, and short push rod goes down onto the tail bell crank, and if you've got the length adjusted just right, you get a full range of travel in the cutout. If you find that you're not quite full range of travel on the slider, comme ça, then you just need to alter your ball links, because when you're in the full range of the cutout, you're in the full range of the tail yoke slider movement there. So really well set up. Laura's heard that the build's nearly finished, so she's going to come out and have a look. While we're waiting for our markers to dry, we might as well put in the radio tray. I can't believe it, this is the very last bag 25, and look at that for a nice fitting moulding. 3 of our M32 by 3mm collar bolts, and those go in 3 holes, 1, 2, 3. So we might as well set those in now, although we could have a little tweak first of all. Probably worthwhile doing, just get the camera, probably worthwhile doing your wiring. This is going to be one of the easiest wiring installs I've ever done. Look, you can loom together all the servo wires there, and then I think I'll pop those down behind the radio mount and run them through so that they can come out here for the receiver, which I'll probably be mounting on there, I would think. In actual fact, you can put the lower bolt in there and then just use that as a pivot, and the thing will just drop down like that, a bit like Concorde dropping its nose down, and then you've got easy access to the inside for the wiring. So I think I'll leave it like that for now till the radio's installed. And that really is the end of the build. Apart from radio installation and setup of the head, which I think will be straightforward. If anybody wants, I can do a video on that, although Bob's video on the T-Rex 600 and Raptor setup, or my videos on the T-Rex 700 Srimok Kasama head, will be of use in setting up if you're not sure. We'll wait and see how the demand pans out. It's been a great build. I thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it. It's gone too fast, and it's been an easy build, no dramas at all. And thank you for sharing time with me.